Peace and love, everyone, and welcome to the Minister Supreme Show. I'm your host, Minister Supreme, and this is the only show where how you feel doesn't change what's real. I hope everyone enjoyed their holiday weekend last week. We took the week off, not for that reason, but it seemed to coincide and work out for everyone. So, if you do subscribe to or participate and celebrate in the Easter festivities and the Christian tradition, I hope you enjoyed yourself. Hope you enjoyed your time with your family and ate some good food. Preferably not pork, but 9 times out of 10 it was. We know how that goes. For those of you who are more like myself, who do not partake in these kind of things anymore due to the information you've come across and the path you've chosen to live over time, I hope you enjoyed your day off for work, got with your peoples, whatever it is you like to do, y'all did it, and you enjoyed your time. Here's the thing about that I do want to say before we get into today's show, is that for the people who are not into the holidays, into the religions and things of that nature, don't be the family member who wants to ruin it for everybody, okay? We know, we get it, you know what I'm saying? We know where we stand at with things. We don't have to go and shit on everybody who believes in these kind of things, because most people don't even believe in it either. They just happy to have a day off of work, they're happy to be around their family, and they're happy to eat some food that they didn't cook. That's pretty much it. The actual traditions and the reasonings behind the religions, I think, have been long forgotten. Like on some real, Jesus might not be around 2,000 years. Like, he might not last another 2,000 years, like at the rate that we going. You know what I mean? But that's a whole other subject matter. I just wanted to get that out the way. Missed y'all last week. Hope y'all enjoyed y'all time. Let's get right into today's show. Alright? Today's show is one of my favorite subject matters to talk about because it's a touchy subject for so many people. Y'all know how we do. Alright? We in with the 3rd episode now. Y'all know how we do by now, right? So, I'll present a question to you at the beginning of the show. Then we go through the information, look at all the facts, and at the end of the show, see if you still have the same answer or feel the same way about the question that was presented to you in the very beginning, right? So, today's question for today's show is going to be, is polygamy a viable solution for the black family in America? Is polygamy a viable solution for the black family in America? Now, this has been like a hot topic amongst the black community within the past few years, I would say, because you're still starting to see a rise in polygamous relationships, but it has like a modern day twist to it, I would say, and we'll get into that a little bit later. But right now, I want to, for those of you who do not know what polygamy even is, let's break down the terms so we have a full understanding of what exactly we're talking about, all right? Most people are familiar with the term monogamy, right? Mono, which means one. And then the G-A-M-Y, the gamete, it comes from the gamete or the gamete, Latin, which means marry or marriage. So one marriage, that's monogamy. One relationship, one marriage, one couple, 2 people, right? Whatever the genders are is irrelevant in today's society, but it was talking about man and woman when it was first designed. But whatever the genders are now is irrelevant. It's 2 people, monogamy, right? But then you have what's called polygamy. Now, poly, P-O-L-Y, for those that don't know, poly means multiple or many. And then when you add that suffix again, you now have many marriages or many couples. You know what I'm saying? Now, polygamy is an umbrella term because there's multiple forms of polygamy. Now, what's the most common form of polygamy is what's called polygyny. P-O-L-Y-G-Y-N-Y. Okay? Polygyny. Now, polygyny is one man with multiple or many wives, right? One man, 2 or more women. That's polygyny, and that's the predominantly practiced form of polygamy across the world, right? And that was established in, I would say, like the mid to early to mid 1500s, or yeah, somewhere around there, right? Now, a little after that came polyandry. Now, poly still meaning many, and andry coming from ander, which means male. So polyandry is many male or many men, many husbands. So this word now defines a woman having multiple male partners or multiple husbands. So that is also a relationship type, which came shortly after polygyny. Okay? So now you have polygamy as the umbrella, and you have polygyny on one side, polyandry on the other. Are you following me? You with me? Good. Let's move on. In America, it is illegal to have more than one wife. Okay? It's illegal. You can try it, like they have tried it multiple times in Utah with the Mormons, but they have been unsuccessful. But what has changed in February of this year, actually, in Utah, it is no longer punishable by jail time if you're found guilty of a polygamous relationship. Now it's just an infraction. So it's kind of like with medical marijuana, how it's not legal, but it's decriminalized in certain areas. It's kind of like that. It's like it's making its way towards legality. You know what I mean? But it has to go through the steps and the stages in order to get there. That's how I'm personally looking at it. If you view it differently, please let me know. Leave me a comment. I would love to discuss this, dialogue with you guys about this a little further when we look at the legal side of it all. Which takes me to the LGBTQ community. And I know y'all probably think I be picking on them, I always take, and I really don't. Because in this instance, I'm actually applauding the LGBTQ community for fighting and advocating for the rights that they did, which allowed them to have their same-sex marriage be legally recognized under the Obama administration. Here's the thing. Now that that's happened, now that more than one type of relationship is legally recognized by America herself, the door is now open for other forms of alternative lifestyles and relationship types to be also legally recognized by America. If not, there's favoritism involved and there's other things at play that we, the people, may not necessarily know about. Okay? So if it's legal for two men to marry or two women to marry, when it was at one point in time illegal for that to take place, then why is it not up for debate at least to put on the table for it to be legal for a man to take on more than one wife? Right? Because look, there's a country called Djibouti. Don't laugh. Be mature. It's in the Horn of Africa, right? And in Djibouti, polygamy is approved. However, the judge records the existing wives' opinions on any new marriages and investigates the husband's socio-economic situation before approving the marriage contract with any additional wives. That's a pretty thorough way to make sure that everyone involved's needs are being met and that the man is actually able to handle the responsibility of more than one woman. Because listen, y'all, I'm trying to tell you from experience, I've lived and managed a polygamous relationship before in my life. It's not a walk in the park. So for all of you people, or especially men, who think that you can just, have a bunch of women because you're allowed to have a bunch of women, that's the wrong reason to want to be involved. For all of you men who want to just be in control of other people's lives, that's the wrong reason to want to be. You understand what I'm saying? If you think that it's just about being able to have sex with multiple people, that's the wrong reason for wanting to be involved in a polygamous relationship. Polygamy is about family structure. Polygamy is about community structure, togetherness. All right, polygamy is about an end game that we see together, that we're gonna pool our resources into this one pot, and then we all can benefit from it together collectively. Okay, and since we're talking about benefits, let's go into what some of the benefits of polygamy would be if it were to be legalized here in America. All right, let's see. If polygamy were to be legalized, what would be the benefit? Well, let's see. We have increased household income. All right, say you have a man with 2 wives, right? Everyone in the household is working in some form or fashion, whether it be self-employment, whether it be a 9 to 5, whatever. They're bringing in some form of income. All right. If you have 3 incomes coming into the household, you well exceed whatever the monthly average is for that location, right? Whether you're paying rent, whether you own a house, whatever it is, your income with 3 people well exceeds the area that you're in, which this allows you the ability to save. Right? Because saving is survival, not what you have on the daily. It's your saving that's where your survival is. This allows you to save and also save in multiple pots. So everyone's vision, whatever it may be, because we're all still individuals, everyone's vision, whatever that may be, has the opportunity to come into fruition, and finances will not be the reason why they aren't. Okay? Income increase in the household. That's one. 2, lightening the load, whether that be household duties, whether that be taking care of the children, whatever the case may be, whether that be you just need some me time, right? Lightening the load when you have a man with multiple women or multiple wives, because I don't want to go outside the context of marriage. When you have men with more than one wife, now it's always a time for someone to be able to get the house together if someone else is busy working or busy with the children, right? There's always time for someone to be able to get dinner ready if someone else is taking care of household duties or working with the children. It's always time to work with the children because someone's always available. This is the thing. Society doesn't have as much of a grip on the child when you have a polygamous relationship, a functioning polygamous relationship where everyone is all in, hands in on the development of the children. Your influence remains the primary influence more so than anybody else's. It's a little bit longer than society, and it kicks in with its influence because it's going to come. It always does. But when you have multiple minds functioning on one accord for the development of this child or these children, and they're able to see this functioning development from birth until they go out into the world themselves, and they're able to see that it can be done and be done successfully, they too can go out and make sure that the load is lightened in their life. You get it? All right. What else do we have? Another perspective. Oftentimes in a relationship, especially when you get into heated arguments and debates when we're not quite seeing eye to eye, it's good to have another perspective. A third party, someone on the outside looking in of this particular disagreement who can give you an objective view without having a side to take or any extra stake involved that maybe the two of you did not see. Because what's going on between y'all still is going to affect everyone else involved, them included. However, the dispute itself may just be between the 2 out of the 3. It could be the 2 wives are having a disagreement, and the husband has to step in, but all right, well, look, you were wrong here, or you were wrong here, or you were both right when you said this. You see what I'm saying? Or it could be a husband and one of the wives, and they're having a disagreement, and then the other wife steps in and says, well, hold on. Because when you said this, you were wrong here. And when you said this, you were... And be able to have a civil understanding and a civil communication between the 3 of them and gain a supreme understanding so that it never happens again and it is resolved peacefully. Another perspective always works. I said that in the show not too long ago about when we were younger, how we had conflict mediation, and the person will be the third party to hear out both sides and then be able to objectively tell you from their perspective what happened here and where we went wrong and how we can fix it. All right. And lastly, I have reach your goals faster. If you have more money to save, if you have more free time on your hands to work at your goals, if you have more energy because you've been able to get the proper rest because you didn't have to stay up all late at night with the children because somebody else was able to do it. You understand what I'm saying? You have the ability to reach your goals faster than you would have if you had to sleep in the next day because you was up all night with the child, or work had you beat so you couldn't take care of you. You understand what I'm saying? You have a team that can work together to make sure that all of these goals are met realistically and timely. All right? Now when we come back, we're going to go into this a little bit further, talk about the other different relationship types that exist in America and why the question is even posed to begin with as to whether or not this is a viable solution for the black family in particular in America. Back after this. The Minister Supreme Show is brought to you by Lex Brand Names and Apparel, a division of Lex Brand Development. Lex Brand Names is our way of transforming symbols and images that currently exist in your everyday life into something more valuable, greater, and more meaningful. Lex Brand. They won't understand it until you Lex Brand it. I read a comment during the break, right? And it said that you can't talk about the benefits of polygamy without talking about the potential problems that could come up, right? And I said, okay, well, you're right. So let's do that. So what could go wrong in a polygamous relationship, right? Time management. For a man who has more than one wife, he has to be very timely and aware of the importance of time management, because without having the proper time management, other problems are bound to happen. If you are spending, let's say, 5 nights a week with one wife, and you're not even realizing that's how many nights you're spending with, and you only was with your other wife for 2 nights out of the week, then if that happens for too long, she's going to have something to say about that, and she's going to feel some type of way, and rightfully so if you ask me, right? So time management is definitely a possible issue if a husband doesn't know what he's doing when he has more than one wife, right? Jealousy. Competition. If the women involved in this relationship are not mentally, emotionally, spiritually, whatever other kind of leads you want to add to the equation, if they're not elevated on a certain level, then they're not going to be able to see past this physical, material, fleshly world that we are involved in, and the things that go on in it, and they're going to get caught up in that and going to be competing with each other for the time, for the attention, and for the sexual activity. Let's just keep it real. No one wants to feel like the other person is more attractive or more desirable than them. And that's how competition comes in. But if time management is properly addressed and the love that a person has is properly shared, then that should never be an issue. But it could potentially be a problem. So it's something that could go wrong. And lastly, blurred lines. Okay? If you don't have a clear understanding of why we're here, what we're doing, people can start to feel used, taken advantage of. Everyone involved It's not just one particular person, but everyone involved can start to get confused and feel taken advantage of. So you have to make sure that there's clear communication at all times between everyone involved. It's not a you over here and us over here. It's us together. We're in this together. And one last thing I want to say about that before we go into the break and I come back to what I was originally going to talk about to begin with. One last thing that I want to say about this is polygamous relationships now. For those of you who are involved and want to be involved in it, men, do not go out and just find another woman and then come home and tell your current woman or your current wife that you have found somebody else that you want to be involved with or that you want to bring on into the family. That's never gonna work out. Even if she agrees to it, in the back of her mind, she ain't really with that, and then it's gonna come out eventually. How it best works, in my opinion, and again, leave me a comment if you think differently, but how it best works, in my opinion, is that the two of you sit down together and decide that this, for one, is something that we would like to do to better our family. We need to do, if that's the case, to better our family. And we are going to together pick who is going to add on to our family, because we ultimately have to deal with this person, not just you as the man. You and your current wife have to deal with this new individual, right? So she should be definitely involved from the beginning with who comes in the door to add on to what she has helped already build. Does that make sense? Okay. And lastly, and I know this part is probably going to offend some people, but you know me. Lastly, if you're in a polygamous relationship, right, and you're a man with multiple women or multiple wives, if those two wives are sexually active with each other, without you or even with you, it's no longer a polygynous relationship. It's what they have now termed polyamory, which means many lovers, when everyone is interacting sexually with each other. In a true polygynous relationship, the women are not sexually active with each other. In a true polygynous relationship, you don't have to like the messenger or even the message, but it is the truth. And remember, on this show, how you feel does not change what's real. In a true polygynous relationship, the women are not sexually active with each other. They are only sexually active with the man. Okay? Now, what y'all do behind closed doors is what y'all do. I'm not here to say. I don't even care. I'm just telling you what the definition is, what the truth is, and what the facts are, and how we feel about it can never change it. All right? When we come back, more of the topic. All right, here we go. Why was this question even posed to begin with? Is polygamy a viable solution for the black family in America? Let's look at the statistics, okay? Where is the black man in America in 2022. The percentage of black men in prison right now, according to the BOP, which is the Bureau of Prisons for those of you who do not know, 38%, well 38.3% of the prisoners or the inmates currently doing time, serving time, are black men. 38.3%, right? Now, the percentage of black men in the LGBTQ community, according to the UCLA School of Law's report, 39%. 39%, right? The percentage of black men who are unemployed, according to the Labor Department's data, 7.3%, which is roughly about 700,000 unemployed black men. All right? Now, of those numbers, always keep in mind that black people in general only make up 13.4% of America's population. Not even a fifth of America's population are considered black or African American or of African descent. Not even a fifth. This is just documented. And we know that a lot of people, black people, we don't do the documentation if we don't have to. We avoid the census and all that type. We don't talk, we don't let them know, we don't have to let them know. So this is what they know. And that's a high number across the board. Now look at those numbers in relationship to family structure. That's a lot of children without fathers. That's a lot of women without husbands. Because statistically speaking, women already outnumber men anyway, right? So if women already outnumber men, and a good portion of the men that they already outnumber are currently inmates serving time, which makes them unavailable, right? And another good portion of those men aren't even into women, right? And another slither of the men left over aren't even suitable because they're unemployed. What does that leave as options for the vast amount of women that's still left out here, desiring love, desiring, wanting, and needing connection, stability, togetherness, family, children? This is why so many people find themselves getting cheated on. This is why. Because there's so many available women due to all of these factors. There's so many available women, but not men. Those that are considered a good men, women will tell you themselves, they're hard to find. If you got one, you better keep them. You understand what I'm saying? But there's women out here who have been done wrong by not so good men. Right? They've been left with children. They've been left with scars. Those children still need family. Those scars still need healing. And if you're a true sister, pick that woman up. If your man helped you elevate from where you were to where you are now, you know the power of his mind. Why wouldn't you want him to be able to assist another? That's just my, why would you limit the access of others to that greatness? Is that selfish? Would that be considered selfish? To hold on to the greatness of something just for yourself? Is that selfish? I'm asking. Like, leave me a comment and let me know. Because I don't know. The thought just hit me. Like, is that selfish? To hoard greatness only for yourself because you don't want to share. But that lack of willingness to share could be the difference between life and death, or happiness and unhappiness for somebody else. Think about that. Back after this. Alright, so check it out. Real quick, I want y'all to look at this clip. And in this clip is Sister Naima Latif. And if you don't know who she is, she's the author of a book entitled The Female Solution, which is a really dope book and coincides perfectly with this show. In this book, Sister Naima Latif talks about how black women single-handedly hold the power and the ability to solve the problems in the black community by doing one thing. And I'm sure you know what that one thing is based on the subject matter of this show. But check out Sister Naima Latif, the other women also giving their testimony on the clip. See what you think about that, and we'll be right back after this.
Should men be allowed to legally marry more than one wife?
So now you say that you're open to the idea of sharing your husband with another wife.
Yes, or two of them, or however many. But no, two would be good, I think.
I find that it is difficult to accept another wife.
You've been in a relationship in which there was more than one wife?
Yes.
If I were involved in it, I would have a problem.
It's natural. It's instinctual for us to come together in order to survive and to be stronger.
Promoting a 2-wife, 3-wife household will thoroughly demoralize the home.
I feel like, I'm just speaking about, my king man, Asar. I do believe he's a great man. And I feel like if I know, another sister that's out here, she has, I don't care if it's just one youth or, 3 or 4. But he's a good man. Why shouldn't I invite her to come and be a part of my family?
Hi, I'm Naima Latif. This year, state and federal government officials are being asked to consider a minor change in the interpretation of the marriage laws to permit those whose religious or cultural practices allow men to marry more than one wife. The Senate Subcommittee on Children and Families has received a letter asking them to read this book and consider the proposal to allow a man, with his wife's consent, with her signature on the marriage license, to marry an additional wife, or perhaps a couple of additional wives, as a means to provide stable 2-parent families.
It was one man, and there were at least 4 women, but he took care of everybody.
How come we can't encourage the men in our community, in our communities, to come together and to be mentors for our children if there are no men in the home?
A man taking your son to the show every other week, or maybe taking him to hear a lecture, does not teach him how to be a husband in the household.
If they're so in the church, and that's not my path any longer, it hasn't been for a very long time, but my thing is, if you have read the Bible, whatever version you've read, there were a lot of men in the Bible who had a number of wives. So did they skip over that part?
Are we, the women, willing to share love?
Women that are not conscious, that may be attracted to my husband, but they're not conscious, so they don't really know our ways.
Yes.
And they're more on, and then, but see, like, they'll want to mess with him behind my back instead of in front of it. And I'm like, but sister, you don't even have to do that, because I'm saying that you can, but you have to step up to be, the type of woman that I am.
When she gives that as a solution, she's talking about a nebulous. You have to start at the nebulous. You're not going to get all of this right now if you took on multiple wives today. The structure, the raising of those children means that you're starting a new generation. You're opening up a door for a new generation to raise these children in a wholesome household.
Now, by definition, you have what's called customary marriages and civil marriages, right? Now, the civil marriages is what's recognized by the state or the society that you're in. But you also have customary marriages. Now, customary marriages would fall more so into the religious or cultural brackets like Islam, okay? It's customary for a man to have more than one wife. Not only is it customary, it's written, documented in the Holy Quran that a man can have up to 4 wives. Okay? It's documented in the book that this is a practice amongst the believers of Allah, known as Muslims, who practice the faith known as Islam. If you look around the rest of the world, all of the world does not share this understanding of the legal realm of marriage. Okay? Let's take a look around the world for a second and see exactly what it is I'm talking about. In Africa, the majority of the continent, and I'm not going to say all of it because it's not all, but the majority of the continent advocates and also views polygamy as a morally acceptable way of lifestyle. Also, in Asia, in the Middle East as well, what they call the Middle East, because that's a whole other subject. Well, in Asia and what they call the Middle East, polygamy is also practiced and viewed as morally acceptable. Not so much as in Africa, but it is viewed as morally acceptable and is also practiced. It's only in countries such as America. It's only in places like Europe. It's only in places like Russia. And if you can see the pattern of the people who inhabit these places, if you can follow the connection, it's only in these places where monogamy is the predominantly ruling relationship type and legal relationship type, and where polygamy is viewed as morally incorrect. Okay? We need to understand why. All right. So, is polygamy morally correct? It depends on who you ask, right? So, let's look at polygamy around the world real quick. Let's draw a circle here. And if you look at polygamy in this circle is going to be the world, all right? This is our world right here. In this slice of our world, you have Europe, right? And in Southeast Europe, the area, mostly white people, no. Polygamy is not morally correct, right? Then if you go to Central Asia, right? Morally incorrect as well. Populated by mostly whites and Arabs. You go to Southeast Asia, morally acceptable primarily, but that's where you'll find Muslims at, right? So then when you go to Southern Asia, it's kind of 50-50, right? But in the Middle East and what they call Northern and Sub-Saharan Africa, yes, polygamy is morally acceptable. Which is why I posed the question earlier. Is polygamy a black thing? If you look around the world, it's something that we as a people do. It's the only way you find areas predominantly occupied by people of European descent where monogamy is the ruling and legal form of marriage. Why is that? So, monogamy, polygamy, polygyny, polyandry, polyamory, whatever other option you want to choose. It's a personal choice, okay? It's a personal choice. I don't understand why the law is involved in marriage at all anyway. It should all be customary. It should all be traditional. It should all be a personal choice because that's who the people are involved are the ones who have to deal with that, not the government. So why does the government have a say on who can get married and who can't? That's ridiculous to me. But that's besides the point. It's a personal choice. Do your thing. Make sure that whatever you choose to do, you're doing it because you're choosing to do it. Don't do it to please somebody else. Women, don't get with the man and add on to the family thinking that you're going to be the one eventually to replace the woman that's already there. That's not how it works either. Okay? It's a whole lot of other angles that we didn't touch, that we could touch on maybe possibly a part 2 on this subject matter. I hope you guys enjoyed the show. That's all I got for you. Is polygamy a viable solution for the black family in America? What do you say? Leave me a comment. Tell me what you think. I say yes. I don't see why not. We've tried everything else that hasn't worked. Why not give it a shot, right? It might actually work. Now that you know what it is, you don't have your own little personal definition for it. Let me know what you think. Leave me a comment. Tune in next week. The subject matter is going to be a good one. We're talking about astrology. We're talking about tarot and spirituality. Because a lot of people are on the fence. Is it a science? Is it real? Is it not? We'll find out when we delve into it next week on the Minister Supreme Show. So make sure you tune in. It's the only show where how you feel doesn't change what's real. Until next time, peace. The Minister Supreme Show is brought to you by Lex Brand Names and Apparel, a division of Lex Brand Development.